The Mafia boss froze. 3 identical crescent moon birthmarks. His birthmark. But how could 3 7-year-olds he'd never met carry the mark of the Salvatore bloodline? The private jet stairs descended onto the tarmac of New York's exclusive aviation terminal. Isabella Chen-Salvatore emerged first, her Hermes sunglasses glinting in the afternoon sun, her tailored cream pantsuit worth more than most people's cars. Behind her, 3 identical boys tumbled out, arguing about who got to carry the Nintendo Switch. Luca, give it back. Matteo had it the whole flight. Marco started it. Isabella sighed, her diamond bracelet catching the light as she ran a hand through her silky black hair. 7 years. 7 years since she'd fled New York in the middle of the night, pregnant and terrified. 7 years since she'd left him. A black Mercedes SUV waited on the tarmac. Her driver loaded the Louis Vuitton luggage, 12 pieces for a 2-week stay, while Isabella herded her sons into the vehicle. "Mommy, why are we in New York?" Luca asked, his dark eyes, his father's eyes, filled with curiosity. "Business, sweetheart. Mommy has to meet with some people about the company." What she didn't tell them, the business, was the reading of her grandfather's will. The grandfather who'd built a tech empire worth $3.2 billion. The grandfather whose death meant she had to return to the city where he ruled. Dante Salvatore. The Mafia boss of New York. The man she'd loved. The man she'd run from. The man who didn't know he had 3 sons. 2 days later, Isabella made a crucial mistake. She took the boys to Lombardi's, a small Italian café in Little Italy. She'd thought it was safe. It wasn't. 3 hot chocolates and an espresso, she ordered, while the boys pressed their faces against the pastry case. "Mommy, can we get cannoli? Please, please, please." She smiled, about to answer, when the air in the café changed. It was subtle, the way conversations dropped to whispers, the way the barista's hand trembled slightly, the way everyone's attention shifted to the door. Isabella didn't need to turn around. She felt him. 8 years, and her body still recognized his presence like a magnetic pull. Isabella. That voice. Deep, smooth, dangerous. The voice that used to whisper promises against her skin. She turned slowly, her heart hammering so hard she was certain everyone could hear it. Dante Salvatore stood in the doorway, flanked by 2 men in dark suits. But Isabella only saw him. 6'3" of pure masculine power, his dark hair perfectly styled, his jaw sharper than she remembered, his gray suit tailored to perfection. But it was his eyes, those piercing dark eyes, that held her captive. "Dante." Her voice came out steadier than she felt. He took a step forward, his gaze raking over her with an intensity that made her skin burn. 7 years. Not a word. Not a "Mommy, can we get 3 cannoli?" 3 voices. 3 identical faces. 3 pairs of dark eyes. His eyes, suddenly staring up at the most dangerous man in New York. Dante's expression froze. Then his gaze dropped to the boys. One by one. Luca, Matteo, Marco. 7 years old. Dark hair. Dark eyes. Strong jawlines. And then Luca reached up to scratch his neck, and his collar shifted. Dante stopped breathing. There, on the side of Luca's neck, was a birthmark. A crescent moon, tilted to the left. "Mommy, who's that man?" Matteo asked. Dante's eyes snapped to Matteo. The mark. His expression was unreadable, but Isabella saw the moment his mind made the connection. The moment he knew. "Show me your necks," Dante said quietly. Too quietly. "What?" Luca frowned. "Your necks. Now." Something in his tone made the boys obey. 3 necks tilted. 3 identical crescent moon birthmarks. The Salvatore birthmark. Passed down through 5 generations. Impossible to fake. Dante's hand shot out, gripping the table beside him. For a moment, Isabella thought the most powerful mafia boss in New York might actually faint. Outside. Now. His voice was lethal. On the sidewalk, while the boys pressed their faces against the cafe window, "Mommy looks upset." "Is she crying?" "Who is that man?" Isabella faced the father of her children. "You were pregnant." Not a question. An accusation. "Yes." "Triplets." Yes. 7 years, Isabella. 7 years you kept my sons from me. You mean the sons you would have used as pawns in your war with the Bratva? The sons who would have been targets before they learned to walk? Dante's jaw clenched. I would have protected them. Like you protected me? I had 3 assassination attempts in 2 months, Dante. 3. Because I was the Mafia boss's weakness. What do you think they would have done to 3 babies? Something flickered in his eyes. Regret. But then the mask was back. They're Salvatore's. They belong in New York. With me. They belong with their mother. We're leaving in 12 days. The hell you are. Try to stop me, and I'll make sure every media outlet in the country knows about the Salvatore triplets. How long before your enemies find them then? It was a bluff. She'd never risk her sons like that. But Dante didn't know that. His eyes narrowed. Then, surprisingly, he smiled. A predatory smile that made her stomach flip. Fine. 12 days. But I want time with my sons. Dante. Every day, Isabella. You owe me 7 years. I'm collecting. That evening, Dante showed up at her grandfather's penthouse, the 8,000 square foot residence overlooking Central Park that was now hers. The boys answered the door. It's the scary man from the café. Why is he here? Does he want cannoli? Dante crouched down, eye level with them. This close, the resemblance was undeniable. They were miniature versions of him. I'm Dante, he said quietly. I'm an old friend of your mother's. Are you her boyfriend? Marco asked bluntly. Dante's lips twitched. Once upon a time. Why not anymore? That's complicated. Our mommy says complicated means I don't want to explain, Luca informed him seriously. Despite herself, Isabella smiled from the doorway. Over the next hour, something incredible happened. Dante, the man who ordered hits before breakfast, sat on the floor of her penthouse, building a Lego city with 3 7-year-olds. No, the tower goes here, Matteo insisted. That's not structurally sound, Dante argued. What structurally? It means the building will fall down. So make it not fall down. Isabella watched from the kitchen, her heart doing complicated things in her chest. This was the Dante she remembered. The one who existed before the violence, before the power plays, before the blood. When the boys were finally in bed, Dante found her on the balcony, overlooking the glittering city. They're amazing, he said quietly. I know. Luca has your stubborn streak. Matteo has my strategic mind. Marco has your smile, Isabella finished. When he's plotting something. Silence. Why didn't you tell me? Because I was 23, pregnant and terrified. Because your world was too dangerous. Because I thought I was protecting them. And now they ask about their father. Now they want to know why they don't have one. Now Marco draws pictures of families and leaves the father's space blank. Her voice cracked. Now I'm wondering if I made a terrible mistake. Dante stepped closer. Close enough that she could smell his cologne. The same one that used to cling to her skin after nights in his arms. Isabella. She turned. His eyes were softer now, the dangerous edge replaced with something raw and real. I never stopped looking for you. 7 years and every day I searched. Every day, I wondered if you were safe. If you were happy. He swallowed. If you still thought about me. Every day, she whispered. Every single day. Okay, so the scary man is actually nice, Luca announced the next morning, while Isabella was on a conference call. And he looks exactly like us, Matteo added. And mommy looks at him like she looks at chocolate cake, Marco observed. 3 pairs of 7-year-old eyes met in sudden understanding. Wait. No way. Is he our dad? The conference call was forgotten. Isabella found 3 boys staring at her with identical expressions of shock and accusation. Well, Luca demanded. Isabella's mouth opened. Opened again. That is, you see. He is. All 3 boys shouted in unison. We have a dad. And he's rich. And he knows about structural integrity. Boys, sit down. We need to talk. What followed was the most difficult conversation of Isabella's life. She explained, in 7-year-old terms, about Dante's complicated job, about the danger, about why she'd left. "So you left because you loved us?" Matteo asked quietly. "Yes, baby. More than anything." "And he doesn't know we know he's our dad?" "Not yet. I need to." "We have a plan," Marco announced. Isabella felt a sense of impending doom. The next week was chaos. Day 1. The boys accidentally locked Isabella and Dante in the penthouse wine cellar. "Boys, this isn't funny. We'll let you out when you talk about your feelings," Luca shouted through the door. They talked for 3 hours. About the past. About their fears. About the 7 years of silence. About the undeniable fact that they'd never stopped loving each other. Day 2, the boys insisted on family dinner at New York's most romantic restaurant. "It's not a date," Isabella protested. "We know, Mommy. It's a family dinner. With our family. Including our dad." Dante nearly choked on his wine when Luca said that. Isabella just buried her face in her hands. Day 3, the boys found Dante at his office, a sleek skyscraper in Midtown, and presented him with a PowerPoint presentation. "Why you should marry our mom," Dante read from the screen. "Slide 1, she makes the best pancakes," Marco narrated seriously. "Slide 2, she's really pretty," Matteo continued. "Slide 3, you look at her like she's pizza, and you love pizza," Luca finished. Dante's entire security team tried not to laugh as their boss, one of the most feared men in New York, sat through a 47-slide presentation created by 3 7-year-olds. Day 4 to 6, the boys deployed strategic accidents. Spilled drinks that required Dante and Isabella to share towels. Lost boys that required Dante and Isabella to search Central Park together. We were here the whole time. Nightmares that resulted in all 3 boys sleeping in Isabella's bed, leaving her and Dante on the couch, inches apart, unable to sleep because they were too aware of each other. On day 7, Dante showed up at the penthouse at midnight. "They know," he said simply when Isabella answered the door in her silk pajamas. "What?" "Our sons. They know I'm their father." "How?" "Marco left a note on my desk. Dear Dad, feel love your sons." Isabella groaned. "Dante, I was going to tell them properly. I just needed." "They have a plan, Isabella." "I know about the plan. The wine cellar, the restaurant, the PowerPoint. No, a new plan." He pulled out his phone, showing her a group text from Luca's number when had her 7-year-old gotten a phone. "Luca, Dad says he never stopped loving you. Matteo, Mom cries when she looks at old photos of you too. Marco, you're both being stupid. Luca, adults are so dumb about feelings. Matteo, Operation Final Push is a go. Marco, tomorrow. The place where you met." Isabella stared at the phone. "Where we met?" Dante's eyes met hers. "The Metropolitan Museum. The Greek Wing." A memory flooded back. 8 years ago. A charity gala. A young, idealistic Isabella admiring a statue of Aphrodite. A devastatingly handsome man in a tuxedo approaching her. "Beautiful, isn't she? She's the goddess of love. Do you believe in it? Love? I want to. Do you? I'm starting to." "They want us to meet there tomorrow at noon," Dante said quietly. "And if we don't? Then we're denying 3 7-year-olds who somehow managed to orchestrate a reconciliation between a tech heiress and a mafia boss." He stepped closer. "Isabella, they're not wrong. We've been stupid. I've spent 7 years living half a life because you weren't in it. And now you're here, and our sons are trying to give us what we're too scared to reach for. Your world is still dangerous. I've spent the last week making arrangements. Retiring from the more violent aspects of the business. Transitioning to legitimate operations. I can't change what I was, but I can change what I am. For them. Dante, I love you. I never stopped. And if you give me a chance, I'll spend the rest of my life proving that you and our sons are worth more to me than any empire." The next day, Isabella stood in the Greek wing of the Metropolitan Museum, in front of the statue of Aphrodite. She wore a simple white dress, the same color she'd worn the night they met. At exactly noon, Dante appeared. Black suit, white shirt, no tie, heart in his eyes. "You came," she breathed. "Did you doubt I would?" "No. But I doubted us." He crossed the space between them, and suddenly the museum, the other visitors, the entire world faded away. It was just them and 8 years of longing. "Do you remember what you asked me?" Dante said softly. "That night we met? I asked if you believed in love. And I said I was starting to. The truth was, I started believing the moment I saw you. I just didn't know it yet." His hand came up, cradling her face. "I believe in love, Isabella. Because I love you. Because I never stopped. Because 3 identical 7-year-olds with my birthmark are proof that some things are meant to be. Dante, marry me." Isabella's breath caught. "What? Marry me? Not because of the boys. Not because of guilt or obligation. Marry me because 8 years ago, I was supposed to ask you and I waited too long and lost you. Marry me because our sons are probably hiding behind that statue watching us and they'll be insufferable if we don't. We're behind the column." Marco's voice rang out. "Marco, shut up." Luca hissed. "You're ruining the moment." Matteo groaned. Despite everything, Isabella laughed. Then cried. Then laughed again. "Yes," she whispered. "Yes. Yes, you idiot. Yes, I'll marry you. Yes, I love you. Yes to everything." Dante's kiss was 8 years of longing, 7 years of pain, and a future full of promise all rolled into one perfect moment. From behind the column, 3 boys high-fived. "Told you the museum would work," Luca whispered. "Structural integrity applies to relationships," Matteo announced wisely. "Can we get gelato now?" Marco asked. 3 months later, Isabella and Dante stood at the altar of a small private church in Tuscany. The guest list was intimate, 50 people, mostly family. But the 3 best men stole the show. Luca, Matteo, and Marco, in matching tiny tuxedos, stood beside their father. Dad cried when he saw Mom in her dress. Luca whispered to the crowd. He was wearing a microphone. No one knew why. "We told you she's pretty," Matteo added. "Can we do the rings now?" "I'm hungry," Marco announced. The crowd laughed. Dante just shook his head, grinning. Isabella covered her mouth, trying not to laugh. When it came time for vows, Dante spoke first. "Isabella, 7 years ago, I lost you because I wasn't brave enough to choose love over power. Today, in front of our sons, I choose you. Every day. Every moment. You are my peace in the chaos, my light in the darkness, my purpose. And I promise to spend every day earning the gift of your love." There wasn't a dry eye in the church. Isabella's turn. "Dante, you once asked me if I believed in love. Today, I know the answer. I believe in a love strong enough to survive 7 years apart. I believe in a love that created 3 beautiful, scheming, impossible boys who refuse to let us be stupid. I believe in a love that chooses growth over perfection. I believe in us." When the priest pronounced them husband and wife, the kiss was interrupted by, "Finally! Structural integrity, achieved. Can we eat now?" The Salvatore mansion in Westchester was alive with chaos. 3 7-year-olds, nearly 8 now, raced through the halls, chasing a puppy Dante had caved after 2 weeks of PowerPoint presentations. In the master bedroom, Isabella stood at the window, watching them play in the garden. Arms wrapped around her waist. Dante's chin rested on her shoulder. "They're planning something," he murmured. "Of course they are. They're your sons. Our sons." Marco has blueprints in his room. "Blueprints for what?" "A baby sister acquisition plan." Dante choked. "A what?" Isabella turned in his arms, smiling. "They want a sister. Apparently, we've been slacking on family expansion. They're 7, nearly 8, and very determined." Her hand slipped to her stomach. "Though they might not have to wait much longer." Dante's eyes went wide. "You're 3 months. I wanted to be sure before." His kiss cut her off. When they finally broke apart, he was grinning like an idiot. A daughter. We don't know if it's a girl. I can feel it. Your feeling or your hope? Both. From the garden, 3 voices shouted. That the dog ate Marco's blueprints. It's a plan, not blueprints. Structural integrity of the plan, compromised. Isabella and Dante looked at each other and burst out laughing. This is our life now, she said. Wouldn't change a single moment, he replied. 5 years later, the Salvatore family annual photo had become an event. Dante stood in the back, looking distinguished at 35, his arm around Isabella, who somehow looked even more beautiful at 33. In front of them, Luca, Matteo, and Marco, now 12 years old, tall and strong, heartbreakers in training. And in the middle, held between her 3 adoring big brothers, Sofia Salvatore, age 4, with her father's dark eyes, her mother's smile, and a crescent moon birthmark on her neck. I don't want to take pictures, Sofia announced. I want to play spy. The structural integrity of family photos is critical, Matteo informed her seriously. Ignore him. He's been watching engineering videos, Luca said. Can we eat after? Marco asked. Some things never changed. Boys, Isabella warned. 3 12-year-olds snapped to attention. Even Dante straightened. Isabella Salvatore, Texio, mother of 4, wife of a reformed Mafia boss, had a look that could stop a rebellion. 1 photo. Then gelato. Deal. Deal. The camera clicked. The photo captured it perfectly. A family built on impossible odds. A love that survived separation. 3 boys who refused to let their parents be stupid. And a little girl who would, no doubt, be just as scheming as her brothers. That night, after the children were asleep, Dante found Isabella on their bedroom balcony. What are you thinking about? He asked, wrapping his arms around her. That day in the café. When you saw the birthmarks. When you knew. The moment my entire world shifted. Were you angry? Furious? Terrified? Devastated? He turned her to face him. And more in love with you than ever. Because only you could hide triplets for 7 years and raise them to be so much like me that they literally staged an intervention. Isabella laughed. They're proud of it, you know. They tell everyone at school how they got mom and dad together. They're not wrong. No, they're not. Dante kissed her forehead. Thank you. For what? For running. For keeping them safe when I couldn't. For coming back. For giving me a second chance. For our family. Dante Salvatore, are you getting sentimental? I'm a father of 4. I'm allowed to be sentimental. From inside the house, Dad. Sofia put my retainer in the toilet. Did not. Did too. Structural integrity of the toilet, compromised. Isabella and Dante sighed in unison, then grinned. Our chaos, she said. Our perfect chaos, he agreed. And as they walked back inside to referee whatever disaster awaited them, Isabella couldn't help but think, 7 years ago, she'd run from this man to protect 3 babies. Today, those 3 babies had given them both everything they'd never dared to dream of. 3 identical birthmarks. 3 scheming boys. 1 impossible love story. And a happily ever after that even the Mafia boss hadn't seen coming. Because sometimes the most dangerous man in New York just needs 3 7-year-olds with a PowerPoint presentation to realize what really matters.